the principal muckrakers, such as Henry Demarest Lloyd and Ida Tarbell, he served as shorthand for the Standard Oil Trust, his personality submerged in its machinations. Even in the 2-volume biography by Alan Nevins, who strove to vindicate Rockefeller's reputation, Rockefeller vanishes for pages at a time amid a swirl of charges and countercharges. The attention paid to the depredations of Standard Oil has tended to overshadow everything else about Rockefeller's life. H.G. Wells defended this biographical approach. The life history of Rockefeller is the history of the trust. He made it, and equally it made him, so that apart from its story, it seems hardly necessary to detail his personal life in chronological order. So steadfastly have biographers clung to this dated view that we still lack an account of our foremost 19th-century industrialist that explores his inner and outer worlds and synthesizes them into a fully rounded portrait. For all the ink provoked by Rockefeller, his biographies have been marred by a numbing repetition. Whatever their political slant, they have, on the whole, followed the same chronology, raked over the same disputes about his business methods, rehashed the same stale anecdotes. One has the impression of sitting through the same play over and over again, albeit from slightly different seats in the theater. Some of this derives from our shifting conception of biography. With the exception of John Dee, a slender volume by David Freeman Hawke published in 1980, the Rockefeller biographies were all published before mid-century and betray a Victorian reticence about private matters. Whatever their merits as business reportage, they betray minimal post-Freudian curiosity. They touch only glancingly, for instance, on the story of Rockefeller's father, a bigamist and snake oil salesman, who so indelibly shaped his son's life. Even the exhaustive Nevins showed scant interest in Rockefeller's marriage or his 3 daughters. The feminist concerns of our own day have recently produced 2 books, Bernice Kurtz's Abby Aldrich Rockefeller and Clarice Statz's The Rockefeller Women, that have begun to pry open this hermetically sealed family world. Rockefeller's social life beyond the office, his friendships, hobbies, sports, etc., has suffered from equally conspicuous neglect. Other matters that warrant investigation include Rockefeller's political views and theory of trusts, his attitude toward public relations, his stewardship of his investments beyond Standard Oil, his transfer of money to his children and his dynastic ambitions, his persistent fascination with medicine, and the imprint he left upon the many philanthropies he endowed. There has also been a remarkable lack of curiosity about the 40-odd years that he spent in retirement, with some biographers omitting those decades altogether. Yet it was during those decades that John D. Rockefeller, Jr. both perpetuated and radically modified his father's legacy, a subject to which I devote considerable attention. When Random House proposed that I write the first full-length biography of Rockefeller since Alan Nevins's in the 1950s, I frankly balked, convinced that the subject had been exhausted by writers too eager to capitalize on his fame. How could one write about a man who made such a fetish of secrecy? In the existing literature, he came across as a gifted automaton at best, a malevolent machine at worst. I couldn't tell whether he was a hollow man, deadened by the pursuit of money, or someone of great depth and force but with eerie self-control. If the former was true, I would respectfully decline. In the unlikely case that the latter proved true, well, then I was intrigued. To settle the matter, I spent a day at the Rockefeller Archive Center in Sleepy Hollow, New York, the repository of millions of family documents. When I told the curators of my misgivings and explained that I couldn't write about Rockefeller unless I heard his inner voice, the music of his mind, as I phrased it, they brought me the transcript of an interview privately conducted with Rockefeller between 1917 and 1920. It was done by William O. Inglis, a New York newspaperman who questioned Rockefeller for an authorized biography that was never published. As I pored over this 1,700-page verbatim transcript, I was astonished. Rockefeller, stereotyped as taciturn and empty, turned out to be analytic, articulate, even fiery. He was also quite funny, with a dry Midwestern wit. This wasn't someone I had encountered in any biography. When I returned home, I told Anne Godoff.